Hunt Showdown easily falls in that hardcore shooter category. It can be a pretty tense game behind the theme of horror and the uncertainty of other enemy players. To beginners, this can be very daunting and pretty unforgiving. So to help and take a huge chunk out of that steep learning curve, in this episode I'm going to cover one of the things I get most asked about: controller settings. Regardless of whatever control scheme that you chose between Gunslinger and Hunter, it's important that you feel as possibly comfortable with aiming and moving. To begin with, compared to other console shooters, Hunt can feel a little bit slow, and because the crosshairs aren't actually in the middle of the screen like every other console shooter, it can take some time getting used to aiming. With the release of update 1.2.1 for console, Crytek finally addressed controller input lag. They also addressed aim assist on the Nitro Express rifle, so no more of this. But going back and regarding controller settings, there have been a number of videos doing the rounds that claim that they have the best settings for console with very little to no explanation as to why. So I'm going to go out on the limb here and say there is no such thing as the best settings. What works for one person won't work for the next, so it's crucial to understand what each of these settings are and why. Now, as simple as it may be explaining and understanding what the X and Y axis are, including turning strength, which is essentially aim acceleration, the question of what settings you use or they use is still very popular, especially amongst beginner players, which I believe is testament to how difficult the game can be for those that are struggling and first-time players. So presented here, as you can see, these are the default settings. Using these settings, in my opinion, you can easily tell just how clunky the game actually feels. With the turning strength on quite high, it actually feels pretty unnatural compared to other shooters. So these are my recommended settings to get a more natural feel for the game. From here, I recommend that you experiment and adjust these settings, increasing or decreasing in small increments until you get it right for you. If you start decreasing the turning strength from here, you'll start to notice how much snappier the aiming starts to become. Although bear in mind you will want to increase your X and Y axes. For a quick reference, these are the settings that I have been using since 1.2.1. In comparison, let's look at someone else high up on the leaderboards and what settings they use.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you my new, much requested settings. With the latest
This is Deathshot, who has kindly allowed me to use his most recent footage regarding controller settings. Deathshot is a great player and I have high admiration for his sniping abilities. As you can see here, his settings maintain a high turning strength but with much lower X and Y axes.
Because the settings I had on first day were really bad. With all being said, I hope you can find these settings useful.
Now, Deathshot sits above me on the leaderboard, without having to scroll 20 to 30 places above. Under killstreak we are closest together. Since early access, from time to time we have bumped into each other, and Deathshot makes a great opponent. I know he thinks very highly of my Silence Nagant fanning skills. But probably not on the receiving end of it. This is a quick edit of the last time we actually met each other in game. You can watch the full video under highlights on my Twitch channel.
Oh, it's you! It's oh no, I'm really frightened.
What are you gonna do, dude? Oh, he's gone all the way over there, I see him. Oh, he is so lucky.
There we got it. Every time I kill someone with the label. Oh no, the fanning as well.
Yeah, and the fanning.
Okay, I'll pull out my throwing knives. Oh no. Oh.
Ooh. Come on. You gotta be out of heals sometime, dude.
There's so many medicines around.
Alright, I'm literally one shot anyway. The point of this is, of course, that our settings are so vastly different from each other, yet we are comfortable with how we have set them. Play, man. And that's why I would implore anyone to go back to the default settings or my own recommended settings and have a play around to see what works for you. As a general basis and the most obvious rule of thumb, always keep the X above the Y to maintain a more natural feel. Even though Hunt provides a lot of vertical gameplay, it's more important to be precise. Furthermore, to note with the gunslinger control scheme, the default X and Y seemingly still applies to any situation you have your gun lowered, such as running. During early access, the Hunter control scheme was the only one available up until the release of 1.0 on the Xbox version. I would recommend for stealth or sniping game styles, or if you're mainly running solo, to use Hunter. If you prepare a more speedy and prepared approach for PvP, definitely go with Gunslinger. For the controversial topic of aim assist, I would recommend keeping it on. You are only keeping yourself at a disadvantage if you do not. Although I would personally prefer that it was removed from PvP, I can see why it has been implemented to help influence and promote, or if you like, to simulate the speedy response times from the PC version. At least in its current state, it will deter those rushing bomb lancers. There are also some quality of life options that aren't listed anywhere in the game, and with update 1.3 around the corner, there may yet still be some added shortcuts. For tools and consumables, you can tap the left and right D-pad for either for quick selection. However, it is not known that you can change the quick selection slot. On bringing up the inventory wheel, while you have either tool or consumable selected, hold down the left or right D-pad respectively to add to your quick slot. Also, for item navigation, a quick double tap of A or X will equip or de-equip any item. If any more features do get added, we will cover these in future episodes. And as always, if there's anything that you want me to cover, please let me know, as I am doing other episodes simultaneously.